Hi, I'm Annika Johnson from Al Johnson's in Sister Bay. I hope you enjoy my new video series called Door County Girl. These are stories of my life, the people and places that I love, and of course how we all survive here in northern Wisconsin. You can come back as often as you like, but don't forget to subscribe to Al's YouTube channel. I'll be posting lots of really cool new videos. So let's go! Welcome to another episode of Door County Girl, and today I'm with one of my favorite people, Jaime Blossom, who is our dining room manager, and I used to work with her in the dining room, but I get shuffled around a little bit wherever they need me. I had a dream shipping job after that, and now I'm in the boutique where my favorite person, Jaime Blossom, helps me run the boutique as well. But we're not here to talk about the boutique today. We're here to talk about how Jaime Blossom runs a tidy ship and a tight ship in the dining room that makes Al Johnson's running super smooth. So,
hello.
I'm going to let Jaime take it over. And Jaime, how did you ever even get to Al Johnson's in the first place?
Well, I came to Al Johnson's in 1990 when I was in the 8th grade looking for a job.
Like everyone else.
Having an interview with Al Johnson. And I started as a hostess / busser from 1990 to 1993, where then you graduate to server if you have what it takes. And then I was trained as a server through college. And then I took a sabbatical and went into the real world and the city life. And then somehow I ended up back here.
So how did you end up back here as the dining room manager?
I was living in Milwaukee after college, running a couple different restaurants in the Milwaukee West Bend area. And then I took some time off, came back to Door County for a couple months, ran into Lars. He asked if I would help out for a while. I helped out serving for a couple months, and then I said I need something more than that because that's what I'm used to after restaurants in corporate America. And I met my future husband at the time, or my husband, and I took a management job here, and here I am, still here.
Yes, and actually Jaime does an amazing job out there, so I have no problem when we would work together. When she's there, she's the boss. When I'm there, I'm the boss, but I let her do all the decision making and all the everything else because she's good at it.
Sometimes.
Some people are good at delegating and some people are just like, I'll do it. Don't worry about it, I'll do it. I think that's a good quality in you because people don't take offense when you say it. Because once they get used to you, when you give an order, you're the boss. You are the boss and you speak for Lars, Rolf, and I, or Ingert. This is what we want. We tell Jaime, Jaime tells them, that's how it is, end of story. There's no discussion, there's no this, there's no that. I love that about you. With me, I always have to go, oh my God, could you please not do that? And then I gotta like talk about it for a long time and it's like, So everybody has a different way of managing, and I'm like a worker bee, and I prefer to be the worker bee, and I like people who have good organizational skills like Jaime. So tell everyone, what do you do for Al's? Because your job is hugely busy. You have a lot of hats.
It's crazy when you really think about it. When I came back, I was doing the hiring and the training of servers and hosts in the restaurant. Then as time went by and life went on, and with the passing of Al and then Bo, now I do the bookings of all the buses for the season, as well as any private events. And then as the boutique unfolded and changes have been made with that, Annika and I work on that together. So I do the hiring and the scheduling of that. as well as dealing with all the complaints that people like to make on social media. I get to deal with that as well as the complaints in-house. And I schedule probably, I'd say, 60 employees and all of their requests every week, which I think is the most in the company, like as a whole.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's really interesting, and my master's in counseling really pays off in juggling all those 60-some personalities.
We used to always joke about the fact that we at Al's would like to have behind Al's a psychiatrist office, orthopedic office, and what was the other one? I just think a regular
Massage.
Oh yes,
like,
a massage clinic. So
like,
anytime our employees needed a little something, we had it right behind us. Like, go see Jamie; she'll get you straight.
yeah, exactly. So, and my staff, I mean, the ages run from 14 to like 70, mid 70s. So, I mean, it's a huge variety of ages, I mean, and
With lots of
ethnicities
personalities.
here. And then Freddie and I hired the J1 visas students, you know, from Turkey and
Yeah, and
Romania.
explain a little bit about that, because people are so curious about how we get our help. Now, we're lucky this year because the last 2 years we haven't really been able to get our J1 visa students, but
Right.
Jamie and Freddie usually have to travel to go recruit some of our employees, which I think the rest of the county benefits from the fact that we would
yeah.
actually do the legwork. So it gets a little sketchy back and forth, but we have to get them to realize that this is their first job, and when you're done at 3, you can do whatever you wish.
Right.
So kind of explain a little bit about that.
Well, the J1 visa program, it's different in every country, and the dates that a student can get a J1 visa depends on what country they are from, and not every country offers a J1 visa program either. So what works best for Al Johnson's, and I would say most places in Door County as well as like the Dells, because our season is somewhat June to October, Romania and Turkey seem to work well with our dates. Obviously, due to COVID, that was shut down for quite a while, and so for 2 years we were running on a skeleton crew all over the nation, but much more or less definitely right here in our backyard, which thank God we have an amazing year-round
yeah, we
staff
do.
because they did an amazing job the past few years. Now that we've had the influx, and this year we have about 40 J1 visa students that'll be here through the end of September, end of October. We're housing 44 of them. It is like a breath of fresh air compared to the past 2.5 years of not having them. So the J1 Visa Work and Travel Program, they come over, they work, they have time to travel around the country, different places they want to go. They all want to go to New York City or LA because that's what you see in the movies.
Or Las Vegas.
Or Las Vegas, hit the slots. So yeah, we are just so happy to have them here. And Freddie and I usually on a typical year, which I don't know that we will have a typical year ever again after this pandemic, we go to Eastern Europe and hire usually the end of January, beginning of February. So we usually connect with one particular agency who then sets up the interviews, and then we interview them so that I can fit them for uniforms, kind of gauge their personality, where they're going to fit best in the restaurant, front of the house, back of the house, the boutique, school, the bar. And that way when they get here, all the uniforms are ready, you know, everything is set to go. Being that we didn't do that the last 2 years, and then we have this huge influx of J1 visa students this year, myself and Fred forgot all the challenges that brings when you're out of practice for 2 years, and it's like, oh my gosh, I need 15 uniforms, and which housing, project are they going to? And
oh my gosh, everyone's wearing tennis shoes
yeah,
in the dining room.
Trying to figure out
and
whose English is better than others, and like what their craft is or their strength. So it was like we were moving pretty fast, but I feel like now we're after the 4th of July, everybody's trained. Like, I feel like we'll kind of be smooth sailing to some extent. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the next couple months. But I'm definitely going back. I've already told our former J1 visa students who are back home in Romania, I will be there the last week in February of 2023 to meet with our new hires for next season and interview them. And then we love to connect with our former staff and take them all out for dinner and see their life and meet their family. So that's like the most amazing part of going over to Romania and Turkey as well, and meeting the families.
And I like that you get to communicate with some of the past employees that sort of, in the dining room, Al always said that it's like we're all a wheel, and if a spoke breaks, the wheel can't roll. So Al always said we have to fix the broke spoke.
Right.
People need to work together as a team, and I know Jamie's motto is teamwork is dream work.
Yes.
And smile train.
Smile train.
Smile train. Anyhow, we try to get everybody to get along with each other, and I think a lot of our previous Romanians sometimes give you some good, hey, these people would work out and these people would work out, because I think they like to work with workers that want to actually work and not just come over and not do the job.
Absolutely, 100%. And I would say in the J1 visa program too, like this year alone, one of our former employees recruited 5 of her friends to go through the agency we use and come here because she knows how they work. She thought they would be a great fit, and they're fantastic. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. But it's all word of mouth for Al Johnson's. I mean, we have people, even once we've filled our J1 visa quota for the company, I mean, we probably get 30 other emails from students who want to work at Al Johnson's because they know somebody that worked for me, they know somebody that worked for Fred, that worked somewhere at some point in the company, whether it's the last year or two, or even going back like 4, 5, 6 years ago. I mean, it just spreads like wildfire, and we're one of the biggest employers, I mean, in the Northern Door for sure, and it's just a great company to work for.
Right, and I do have to say that, like, when you hire people, you're actually hiring for other establishments as well. We have a lot of students that work, because we aren't open in the evening anymore, we're only open 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. These kids can get a chance to go home, take a little break, take a shower, and these kids want to work, so they go and get a second job. So a lot of them work in our restaurant all day, 7 to 3, and then they go home and they work in another restaurant establishment or a boutique or a bar. There's not a lot of other options between, or hotels. So either they help clean rooms, or they do laundry somewhere, or they go and do dishes again all night long at another restaurant. So I do notice that a lot of the other establishments that don't do a lot of the legwork like you and Freddie, they actually get a little bit of a bonus from us because they want a second job. But I know that we have to always make it clear that this job has to come first. There gets to be a lot of, well, I'm going to be working here for this, this, and this, and so I can't work here. Well, we all say, no, you got to work here first. Your shift's here. Whatever you do after 3 o'clock is your deal. And a lot of times I try to stress with the foreign kids, they just work all the time.
All the time.
They don't get a chance to enjoy Door County like me and Jamie. Like, this is why I like Door County Girl, because we can actually go do fun things. But they work too much, and they don't get to see where they live. A lot of them do not have cars. At Al's, we supply everybody with a bicycle, so they do have a form of transportation. And a lot of the kids that have been here before actually have a car, so they all carpool and they hang out together, things like that. So it works out really well. Every now and then we might get a little bit of turmoil with one or two people, and it's not usually management related, it's usually country related. You know, it's like
Or
we all have,
city related.
right, we have 50 states, you know, we're all Americans, but when you go over to a foreign country, the Turkish people might not get along with the Uzbekistan people, or the Russian people might not get along with the Slavics, or, you know, there's a lot of country and city issues that we can't really fix. So either that person can stay and bite the bullet and try to work with each other, and if they can't, you know, we understand, and if they have to leave, that's just something that happens very rarely, but sometimes. I'm going to switch it a little bit, and I'm going to have Jamie explain a little bit how she runs the dining room. I know that Jamie and I are professionals on the door, and I can say that there's only a few people that can run the door in a way where we try to be pretty on the ball on our timing. It's a little hard to teach someone else, and the reason I want her to explain this is because all the people out there that come up and try to tell me how to do my job on the door, we are hiring. We're hiring all the time, right, Jamie? We're hiring.
Every day.
We've been doing our job since, I have been on doors since I was probably 14 years old. And when someone comes in to tell me how to do my job or why is it taking so long for the table, explain how we do our timing. Because I think that people don't realize there's not magic tables. They're all done by timing.
It is all timing. There are no magic tables. What's very interesting in the dining room is there are so many small tables, which would be a table we could seat 4 or less people at. And then we have so many big tables, which means you can seat more than 4 at, so 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. When you have a large group, so a group of like 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14 that wants to sit together, that's a whole new dynamic in the dining room because we have to move different tables around, different sections. The timing has to be just right. So that is definitely more complex. But in doing small tables, every table flips. Our motto here is somewhat turn and burn with fantastic service, because we have so many people that want to get in that we want to get as many customers in as possible for the experience. And every table, I'd say tables rotate in a 2 to 3 minute fashion. So if you have 16 tables on your waiting list, it's about a 35-minute wait, given everyone somewhat eats at the same pace. Now sometimes we have birthdays, dirty diapers, people get sick, then that wait could be longer. So if you were to
Or
30
the weather
minutes,
can change.
the weather can
it's not sunny
change.
anymore. It's raining and everyone's going to camp.
Exactly. When it's raining or snowing, people want to sit longer. Somebody gets food all over the floor with a high chair, and 3 hostesses have to sanitize, pick up the food off the floor. That makes the turnover, longer because we want to make sure the next customer is seated at a very clean table. Now, big tables, that's completely different. We have like 20 small tables and 6 large tables. So the wait on a large table is going to be a lot longer than one on a smaller table when you're only rotating 6 in an hour, which means we're open 8 hours a day. You can only flip those tables 8 times, maybe 10 if we have fast eaters, which is why the wait for a large table is a lot longer, a lot faster than one for a small table. And I mean, years ago, we used to train, most of the hostesses with dynamic personalities would be trained 4 on door in dealing with the public, because you open the doors now and there's a line of 25 people outside. But what I've learned is that has become too stressful as our business has gone crazy in the past 4 years, as the amount of people we serve, and then as well as the expectations of the guests too, that's just too stressful to put on someone younger or who is not experienced. So now it's usually myself or my other glam squad partners who are
I'm going to
amazing.
jump in. There was a point where we had 2 girls on the outside door, which is one does the big table list and one does the small table list. So they would run, it's interesting because those two, the small tables not so much, but the girl that runs the big tables, meaning 5 and up, would have to physically walk into the dining room and visually place the table where
Right.
it's going to go and time it by visually looking that group. That's going to be my 9, that's going to be my 8, that's going to be my 6. So visually they know. So we always, everyone, put the seating time next to the name.
Right.
So when someone comes in and says they were waiting 3 hours, I look at my little seating time going, oh, interesting. Your seating time is this time, and
been
you've only
20
been here for a half an hour. I mean, we weren't born yesterday. We've been doing this a long time. We try to be as efficient as we can. And I do notice that when we had the 2 girls, we had another person that works the inside door, which she's the eyes for us. If we can't see it, they're going to say, call a 4, call a 3, call your next small, call your next, you have a pop-up. Pop-ups are 4 tops, a table that seats 4. We can pop it up and we can make it a 5 or a 6 if we need it.
And now everyone's going to ask, well, can't you just pop that up?
Yes. And we can't always pop it up because it depends on how long our waits are for each waiting time.
Right.
Like if it gets to be too long for the bigs and we don't have a very long for the smalls, of course we will pop some
Right.
up. If it's even Steven, it's a game we play all day long.
Right.
So I have to say that the craft of being on the door at Al's is an interesting one. It goes by fast when you're on the door.
Super fast.
I
And
feel-
super stressful because you have people, a line of people putting their names in that might be 20 people deep, and then you have people on the list already who then are coming, checking back to see if their name was called. Well, your name wasn't called because you didn't hear your name, so you keep checking back, but we didn't call your name yet. You know, so you just have people coming from both sides, and it can be very overwhelming.
Yeah, I can say that watching Jamie on the door, she just has a way of just, no matter how many people are pushy and like whatever, this is what I like about her. It doesn't ruffle her feathers. You aren't going to get under her skin. You aren't going to make her mad. I feel like when I was on the door, I was like that a little bit too, although I could be a little bit more like, you need to go away now. Yeah, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Well, and I think the older you are up there, the less grief you get back. Like
Right.
there's more authority. And
if
she's
you're
the
young-
owner, so it's totally different.
I'm going
when
to tell
she's
you a
on
quick
door.
story about that. When I was young, we were on the door, we were open 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Yep.
We had an hour wait at 8 o'clock at night. So people would take advantage of the fact that I might be 14 years old, and they want to come over and dominate. So that was one of the things that I learned really quickly is that my dad always said that when you're on the door, he laughs later on and says, my friends are angry because they want to get a table and you won't let them. And I'm like, well, that's because they aren't on the list. I can't put them ahead of all these people that have been waiting an hour. I'm not giving them a table. So when they go to talk to my dad in the dining room, my dad would say, well, whatever my daughter says goes. And I'd piss off a lot of people, but I follow the rule. I follow the rule, people. I'm on your side. The other thing was I would get a lot of this maybe lying a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
And one time this guy had the same name as someone else. And I did explain to both of them, you both have the same name, but you're going to be seated in a half hour, you're going to be seated in an hour and a half. So when I call this name, it's not going to be you, it's going to be you. I mean, I completely got it straight. When I called the name, the wrong person came up, and I explained to them nicely, it's not you, it's this other group, blah, blah, blah. He took his umbrella, put it under my nose, and started poking my nose with his umbrella. And I mean, I literally was like frozen. And he was very angry and mad. And all of a sudden something snapped in me, and I just pushed his umbrella aside, and I said, you can just off. I said it. I said the F word.
What happened?
And then he was even angrier. But the whole lobby clapped. They were all applauding.
Yeah.
And I'm bawling. Like, I am crying now. I'm a young girl that just got poked in the nose by an umbrella by a crabby old man. And I'm like, hey, little gal pal. And the man went into the dining room to get my dad, who ran the dining room at bus tables, and complained about me on the door. So my dad kept telling me I had to apologize. And I said, I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. You have no idea what just happened. And I told you what happened. I'm not going to do it. My shift was over at 4 o'clock. I went home so upset about this incident because it didn't ever happen to me before like that. My dad was calling me at home, telling me to get my ass back to the restaurant to apologize to this man. And I'm like, I'm not coming. And I kept hanging up on him. So then he sits down in a station with his wife. My dad gives him a table, and Katie Burris was his waitress. And he sent his food back 5 or 6 times. He complained about the coffee being cold. He was just on purpose doing something because he was mad about the situation on door.
Yeah.
And he was giving the waitress such a hard time, she started crying. So my dad called me, calls me up at home and says, if you don't want to come down here and apologize, you don't have to. That guy's been nothing but a blah, bleep, 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 bleep. My dad swore a lot. Blah, 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 since the time he sat down. I told him that the door swings both ways and don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. And you know what I say to my dad? I told you so. You know me by now. I rule the door. They don't rule me, I rule the door. So, I mean, you have to get that in your head that you are in charge.
You are in charge.
They are not, but you like to make them think they are. But it's a fine line.
Yeah. You want to treat the person on door with kindness. And remember, too, we do not take reservations ever. And in order to be seated, the whole party needs to be here because as we have 2 and 3 hour waits through July, August, September, and October, everything is timed out. So when that table is sat, it is timed for the next table. And if all the members in the party are not here, we cannot seat. We have to keep going down the list in order to make everyone happy.
We had to learn that the hard way. People would say, we'd call the name, there's 6, here I am. Okay, we'll usher the 2 people in, they're sitting down, and I'm like, where's the rest of the group?
Parking, they're parking.
They're parking their car. I'm like, okay. So then we would give them the benefit of the doubt, but later on, parking their car means they're driving from Sturgeon Bay right now. They're just not all here
Exactly.
yet. Parking their car might mean they're out on a boat, but they're on their way. So we all have to learn now on the door to say, when we call their name at the front podium before we send them to the inner person, we say, are you all here? Because we can't seat you unless you are all here. But the good thing about that is, they're not really bumped off the list.
No.
You still are on your list. It may be a little bit longer because your group isn't all here, but typically you would be the next large table sat.
Correct.
Or the next small table sat. You don't get wiped off the list.
We never, and you're never taken off the list for the day. We keep those lists until we close, and then we throw them away.
And interestingly, we have a little system. I'm sure Jamie does the same thing. I'll call a name. If they don't come, I put a little check behind it. And then I'll call them again the next round if a table's open. If they don't come, I put another one. So I'm usually like 5 times.
Right.
I figure they must have gone up the street to Brassey's and had lunch and just forgot to say their name. You know what I mean? But we don't usually ever take you off the list. And the ones that don't come, I always circle. So if everyone's scratched off, I can go back and say, yeah, I've called you 8 times and you weren't here, but you can be the next small table.
Right. Exactly.
Some people get caught up shopping. They don't know what time it is, whatever.
Out on the boat.
But we're open, and that's how it goes. But, you know, I don't know that we always say it enough, but I have to say that I, myself, and I'm sure my brothers, but they don't always say things, appreciate Jamie and how she runs things, because I love a tidy ship. She loves a tidy ship. We kind of work the same way in that respect. If there's orders to be directed and I'm kind of wimpy about it, I can say, Jamie, will you go say bop, bop, bop? And she's like, yep, no problem. Whereas maybe I don't say it very forcefully.
I find that hard to believe.
So I feel like we do work together in that way. We might be different personalities, but we both have the same goal in mind. So hiring Jamie in the dining room is a no-brainer. Like, I mean, if she ever leaves here, we would have some mighty big shoes to fill.
I've learned to make decisions, ask for forgiveness later. Just roll with it.
And you know, it's funny, interestingly, you're a little bit like my dad.
Yeah.
My dad will bark at someone and they feel a little offended and upset about it, but like a half an hour later, my dad might put his arm around him and go, well, you and I going up to Husby's after work today for a drink?
Right.
And it kind of winds it down and takes that away. But again, it's not always fun to be the boss.
No.
And somebody has to be the boss. Someone has to steer that ship. And as a captain, you are great at it.
Well, thank you. And here it's a fine line because the staff we are so close that literally, even without the family, it is a family.
Yeah.
This work family of 120 employees is the most amazing family unit you could be part of in a family business, the Johnson's business, which is amazing. That it's that fine line of being a boss, but then some of these people you work with for 10 years and they are your friends.
Become
and
our sisters.
Yeah, it's a fine line, but thank you. I appreciate all of you, and I wouldn't still be here if I didn't love it. So.
Yeah, and I know that she probably thought of a lot of times where she maybe wanted to leave, and we always get that people want to wander, but I just reel her back in. Don't leave me. All right, well, we could talk all day and tell you horror stories about like our job and what we do each day. And if you think it's a glorified job to be a dining room manager, think again, people, because we clean bathrooms too, and we all have thought we
all
saw
the
it.
messes. We get the messes.
All the messes in the bathroom are mine and hers. We're all like, the young girls walk in there and go, ah! And then they run out and get us and go, I can't do that. And we're like, no problem.
Definitely.
We got that. And that becomes, again, thing with age.
And
I've seen it all.
Absolutely. And I couldn't do it without my glam squad. We have the most amazing crew of women who work with me every day and make my life so much easier.
Yep. I'm just going to give a huge shout out to Laura, who is a Romanian gal that married one of our bartenders and now lives here and never wants to leave here again, and we love her. She's a little bit of Jamie's right arm. And
Jessica Charney, amazing. She is my right hand.
Yep. So she's got her little posse. And I love that. And I love the both of them too.
Absolutely.
And those two girls can work any place in this restaurant. I can put them on as a prep cook. I can put them on in the boutique. I can put them on in the warehouse. They can do anything. So that's the kind of people we love. That's amazing. Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of Door County Girl. And don't forget to like and subscribe at the bottom of the page. And there'll be all kinds of other stories. I mean, Jamie and I could probably run a podcast.
We could run a podcast.
Once a week. And we could tell you guys hilarious work stories. Because she always comes in and says, okay, I thought I saw it all, but now this happened. So there's always
all the time.
one to one-up it.
All the time.
And I'm just going to leave you with this note. Juice, stew juice, and only Jamie knows what that means. Brown juice. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching Door County Girl. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time.